And thanks to you again for staying with us so far. Now I will give you an introduction on the second pilot of our Sun project. Instead of being repetitive and giving you the same introduction, I think my colleagues did a very good job with the introductions. I would like to focus on a live demonstration. But before doing so, maybe I'll just give you a short briefing on our use cases within the second pilot. So in our pilots, we focus on 3 use cases. That's how our pilot is built. These use cases are namely the training use case, the practice use case, and the task optimization use case. As can be interpreted from the names, these use cases focus on the training, and in our specific use case, the onboarding of new employees in a factory shop floor setting, which can be completely virtualized. The second use case, the practice, will be focusing on the practical tasks to validate the information that were taught in the first use case, and then in the end we also have the task optimization, which focuses on real-life tasks. So here on the first use case, the training use case, what we focus on is the knowledge transfer through the virtual training material and an assisted avatar that you will see in a bit. And then within the first section of the training, you will see that the trainee is facing some information, and in the second part, these information will be validated through some questionnaire. And then following the training, a training protocol is automatically generated, which in turn can be examined by a future validator, a trainer, so that we can see if the trainee was lacking in certain aspects of the training, if they need retraining, if they want to focus on changing the content of the training. What's cool about this virtual training part is that it's completely virtual, so you're not limited to the physical shop floor, which also allows you to isolate the trainee to an environment where you don't really need a physical trainer. So it's a standalone use case where the trainee can get trained, and the further validation in the future can be done isolated from the trainee himself. On the second use case, now this is the practice use case. What we focus on here is the practical tasks to validate the information that was transmitted to the user in the first use case. So our actual use case, the real life setting, is again, it's executed in a shop floor in Spain. And in this shop floor, as you can see in the image and maybe understand, there has to be some safety measures that need to be taken to ensure that all the employees are safe all the time. So that's why our training will focus on specific safety requirements in specific areas of the factory, which I will go in more detail during the live demonstration. So the knowledge will be tested on field with focus on the PPE evaluation, which stands for personal protective equipment. And these will be validated through the user. The user will go around the shop floor, take some screenshots, and acknowledge whether the equipment status of an actual employee within the shop floor, if he is correctly equipped, incorrectly equipped. And following this session, the results will be validated through an external image detection component, which would be able to detect the existing equipment within the frame and then cross-reference this actual ground truth with the user response. In turn, this would be reflected on an assessment report, which you can see if the user was correct with the assessments or incorrect. And the final use case is the task optimization. In this one, now we're referring to actual tasks and no longer training. In task optimization, now we assume that the user is actually, or the employee, the worker, is actually doing real tasks. So now we are not in training mode anymore, but we're actually doing real work here. And this work process has a task optimization component integrated. What this external component does is, based on the information coming from the factory shop floor, which can be coming through the external cameras that observe, for example, supply inventory or waste disposals, or we also utilize some sensors within the factory machines. Based on this in the background, the task optimization component would prioritize tasks, find the most optimal, most high priority task for the worker, and then automatically send the worker a task. And the user in turn will be able to interact with the task proposal, in this case using hand gestures, because again, this is a very, there's a risk factor with all these operations, and of course you don't want to occlude the worker, you don't want to get extra cumbersome activities through complex UI interactions. So instead, to simplify things, we focus on hand gestures such as thumbs up, thumbs down, or tool swipe in order to enable the worker to work in a more seamless environment. So now I will move on to the actual demonstration. Maybe I will have to close the presentation so you can see my screen. Okay, perfect. So now I will connect my headset through Stream client to the Stream server that you're seeing right now, which is getting executed on this laptop. So this is essentially an example of XR streaming. What's going to happen is I'm going to stream pixels to my headset, and we will go through the use cases. So just to clarify, what I'm seeing here, actually more like this view, but so that there's no occlusion and you can see things a bit clearer, I will disable the camera. I think it will be better for you to see and understand. And yeah, we can start with the first use case. So the first use case, also as you can see already from the hand menu, the language of instruction is in Spanish. This is due to the fact that our partners who host us in their factory shop floor, they're located in Spain. And of course, the training material has to be localized for the workers, employees there. So now I'm in the first use case already. I start the virtual training process. And because unfortunately, I can't speak Spanish myself, I have to enable trainer mode so that I can skip through some questions. Now, as the user, I select the training that I desire. I start. I'm already greeted by my avatar. What I can do is I can already move this panel a bit further away so I have a better view of all the components, and I'll just lock it here. So now as the user, what I'm going through is I see my main panel, which gives me instructions. On the left, I see the overall view of the current status of the progress of the training. On the right, the avatar is greeting me. It's acknowledging my correct answers. Now it's telling me that I'm taking too long and that I should rush. So maybe I'll just do that. Yeah, okay. So we continue through some initial instructions. Essentially what they're saying is they're telling me which type of equipment I should be wearing during which type of task so that I make sure that I'm safe at all times. So I will not show you all of these instructions in detail. I think it would be a bit redundant. I'll skip through them fast. I'll just like to show you some area-specific instructions. Here the user is already trained on specific areas. Now we're focusing on the logistics area. And the trainee is being told which type of equipment they have to wear in which specific area. This will be especially relevant in the second use case as well, when I get to practice these information. So I again skip through these. And now, yeah, I'm welcomed by the first question I have. So yeah, I'll just try one thing. It's asking me which type of gloves that I should be wearing. Okay, so this was the wrong answer. So I'll try the gafas de protección, protection glasses. Apparently this was the desired answer. And the avatar is also confirming this with a thumbs up. So I will continue cheating through these questions because again, unfortunately, I do not speak the language. But what I want to show you is that at the end of the training, what's also happening is, yeah, and there are different types of questions, of course, some pairing questions, some multiple choice questions, and combination of these. So in the end, when I complete my training, yeah, I'm celebrated, and then I see that my results have been generated and saved in my local file system. However, what we also do is, as my colleague Alex introduced, we utilize the tokenized platform, and then over here, these results that I just created will be automatically uploaded. And then using this platform, I can download this at a future time. Or maybe, oh, that's the wrong one, sorry. Standard PDF. Okay, maybe I'll have to show you through the local file system for the time being. But yeah, this would be a good example of what an evaluation report looks like. Again, unfortunately in Spanish, but this would show the trainer how much time the user spent on specific questions, how many times they gave an incorrect answer, and so on. And this would give good insights to the trainers, what the specific trainee has to focus on again to make sure that they're safe at all times. So this is essentially our first use case. And then I will already continue with the second use case. So I'll just skip this, go to my hand menu again. Now I'll go practice mode. So now I'm greeted by this UI, which is telling me, okay, so this is about the evaluation of PPE. It's telling me to go to a specific area, picking these, and then evaluate one employee each in one of these areas. Ideally, we want to have a higher number, but just for the sake of live demonstration and time limitation, I set it to 1. So now I would require 1 frame from each area and verify the correction of the equipment of 1 employee there. And then in the end, I would again generate a different report. So I will start with logistics. And Alex, if you don't mind helping me, maybe I would like to take some screenshots of you. I would assess your equipment. So now I look at my colleague. Okay, maybe now it's now you don't see it, but hopefully soon you will see. So I look at Alex, take screenshot. And then the screenshot is taken. And now I'm greeted by this frame evaluation report. Now it's asking me, is the equipment status of this person correct or incorrect? So assuming we're in the logistics area, I think Alex is pretty well incorrectly equipped. I don't think he has all the stuff that he needs. So I'll just go with no, unfortunately. Now this already completed one section. I will go with another crane section. I'll do the same operation again. Take screenshot. Okay, now just for testing, I will go and say, yeah, this guy is correctly equipped so that we can reflect, we can see the result in the evaluation report. And now I'll just use a picture from my laptop to simulate a real well-equipped person. Unfortunately, we do not have these equipments with us, so you will have to bear with me and we will have to simulate it using this picture. Take screenshot. Oh, okay, now with the lighting, it's not so nice. Let's try again. Take screenshot. Okay, so now it detected some person, but with the frame, I'm not sure if it's going to really detect the equipment. I'm referring to the... Oh, thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Alex.
Now it's gone.
Yeah, now we're here. Okay, so the picture is a bit not so nice. I'm not sure if these will be accurately reflected by the image detection algorithm, because as I said, as a trainee, I give my evaluation, my assessment of the detection of the equipment status, but the ground truth has to be determined by the image detection algorithm that we have running in the background as an external process. So all these frames that I take, they'll be sent to the external image detection component, which in turn will validate the results. They'll be checked against the user responses, and then we will see in the end if the user response was actually correct or not. So now I completed the task given to me as the trainee. Now I will generate my report. I go, and now my report is saved, automatically opened, and I will be able to see some of the frames. So I see that 2 out of 3 of my evaluations was correct. I'm assuming probably on the second one we messed up. Yeah, so the first one, I said that he was incorrectly equipped. The image detection algorithm validates my response. It also detected no equipment, and image detection algorithm also knows about the rules that are specific to this area. So it agrees with me in this case, and it gives me a good mark. On the second one, yeah, we see some discrepancy between the user responses. So one of the second responses, it didn't really fit with the ground truth. That's why I get a minus point. And then on the third one, apparently we got lucky with the frame. So we were able to actually correctly detect the equipment there. And the user response was also correct. So,
You don't see the
but I'll just move on with the next one. So yeah, that's essentially the second use case. And our final use case is the task optimization. Now I assume I'm a well-trained employee, a worker, and I would like to start working. So again, as I said, this one depends on an external task prioritization component. I will have to simulate the task now because we're not in the shop floor and we don't have access to real live data. But I will still try my best to depict you what this use case looks like. So in this case, of course, we don't always include the user with this panel. Ideally, this should be away. But then once the user is at the shop floor and then there's a task being received by the system, I already see a task as a worker. So this task is proposed to me, and as the worker, I have the option to accept this task or reject this task. For the time being, what I will do is I will accept this. I would like to go provide material to a specific machine. So I accept this task with thumbs up, because again, as I said, we don't want to be intrusive here. you want to keep interaction as simple as possible for the end user. So now we assume that the worker has the task in his equipment. You can see with the green dot. I have an active task ongoing. And then once, as the worker, I complete this task, now I'm supposed to interact with the system again. I see my open task. And to complete this task, I use the two-finger swipe gesture. Now my task is completed. At this point, in the real use case, through the external component, I should get an automated task. Once the task is completed, a new high priority task. And again, the user has the option to either accept this task or reject this task. Just for the sake of displaying you, now I will reject this task because maybe I want to go get a coffee, have a break. This is the way a user would be interacting. Yeah, I think this would give you a good idea of how this will be applied in a real-life factory setting. Hopefully, I was able to simulate some of the use cases well enough for you and you got a good understanding of it. In case you have any questions or you would like to test this demo yourself, I'll be here also the following 2 days up in our booth on the first floor. So please feel free to join and then come and then test our application.